All right. Well, here we are. So good morning, everybody. We're going to give everybody some time to jump on our webinar for today. And thank you, Dino, for being here today. And we're just giving everybody some time. Again, thank you. We're both on Facebook and here on Zoom. So we have some folks joining us through Facebook, and we're going to give everybody some time to join us here through Zoom. Today's webinar is a very important one. It's about UAB Career Center and Handshake. So as families, we always think, oh, when they graduate, when they're closing to graduation, we'll think about that. But it's never, you got to start early because it's a journey and the time goes by fast. And so it helps students also have that goal in mind. So thank you for those who are joining us. I see some people already joining us here on Zoom. Remember, you will have the ability to ask your questions live. There's a Q&A section both on Zoom, and then there's a comment section on Facebook where you can send us your questions, and Dina will be glad to answer your questions. Remember, if you've missed any of our webinars, you can go back and watch them either here on Facebook or go to our website, uab.edu/families, and then go under the tab that says Communications 2023 Webinars, and then you can see all the webinars we've had. We upload them. Give us about a week to upload them with captions, and then you can join us then. Sorry, that's my phone ringing. And by the way, if you see me turning my head, I'll be monitoring Facebook on another screen. So just bear with us, okay? But I see we have guests here and on Facebook. So Dino, if you want to go ahead and start, it's all yours.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Dino Martinez. I serve as one of the assistant directors here in the UAB Career Center. And we're going to be able to talk about who we are, what we do, and some of the things that we want your son, daughter, your child to take advantage of. It's one of those type of things where people sometimes don't realize that some of the services that we do, that if you actually went out and went with a company or a service that would provide, career coaching or resume typing or practice interviewing, you would actually spend hundreds of dollars to be able to do it. And I usually try to tell the students when I meet with them is the fact that they're still paying for it, but in a different sort of way. If you're looking on your on the invoice that you get from the university, there's a place there in regards to kind of like student fees. And the way we're funded is that when you pay those student fees, we get a portion of that to pay for the services that we provide, our staff, the infrastructure, and that sort of thing. So to a certain extent, I also tell them, if you were to go to an all-you-care-to-eat buffet for $10 or $13, $15, your particular philosophy is that you're going to eat your money's worth. I know for me, when I'm done, I'm going to try to eat my wife's money's worth. I want to make sure that I get good value for what I paid. But many times, and Carmen alluded to this, is that many people think about coming to the Career Center as they're getting ready to graduate. And I would say in this day and age, that's actually a little too late. We want your student to start thinking about using the Career Center, being a part of their career development as early as possible. We have an opportunity to talk to parents and students during the orientation period, coming in here as a first-year student, and we want you to get involved. We want to be able to talk about what we do and how they can take full advantage of our services. So I have a PowerPoint presentation, no surprise there to anybody. So there's some things that I have that is, I guess you would say, more or less like, built in regards to these are things that we would like to accomplish today. But also for those of you, you took the time to make it to this live presentation. I would say it's also important for me to address those type of concerns that may not be in the PowerPoint presentation. You have those questions, and so please, go ahead and ask those questions. in the various forms as Carmen alluded to, and we will try our best to be able to address those in this presentation. For those that we can't get to, we will try to answer those offline and then still provide it to you so you can still get that information in terms of who we are. Okay, let's get started with this. We have 3 career centers actually here on campus. We have if your student is in the School of Business, in the Klotz School of Business, there's actually a career center there. And that career center services those students who are members of the School of Business. And we also have the School of Engineering also has a career center. And so students who are in an engineering major, can reach out to them. And then for everybody else, there is the UAB Career Center or our office to be able to do that. Now, if your student happens to be in one of the professional schools, for example, if they are in the School of Medicine already, they actually have people there that can help them through their career exploration and pipeline. But until then, they come and see us. The other thing that I could share with you right now, a couple of years ago, we made a decision that not only are we supporting our students, but we're also supporting our alumni as well. But with the caveat there is that I like to tell people is that, some of you, even watching this, are alums. And so I will share with you is that we will do our best to help you, through the questions that you may have. But the services that we have here, honestly, is actually built for those people who are getting into their careers, as opposed to coaching people who have been in their careers for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And so there again, the main point here is that we want everybody to know that there are multiple places where students can get help and support. In business, the Klotz School of Business has a career center, and their services are very centric to those students in those particular majors. The same thing with engineering, pretty centric in regards to engineering students. But yet we help everybody else in the arts and sciences, health professions, education, public health, and nursing as well, are those students that we service. And I don't know if anybody had any questions on that. I don't know, Carmen, if you saw anything there that people might have questions that I can answer for people right now in regards to the career centers.
Right now, I can't see any questions posted, but if they come up, I'll make sure that we break a little and address them. And so again, remember, this is an opportunity for you to ask questions. You can put them in the Q&A section.
Yep.
But thank you.
Yep. And this slide here just underscores again in regards to the students who are in these schools or colleges are those that we pretty much support. And even those students who, undecided majors. If your student is in an undecided major, they actually get support from us as well. And I'll talk a little bit about what does that look like in terms of what do we mean by supporting students in their career, kind of like in their career journey, their career development. So the services that we provide, if you have questions, is that we can help them with their career exploration. As I indicated before, they may not know real specifically what they want to do. And like, for example, I've had an opportunity to talk to, especially with first year students, they're not sure what they want to major in, they're not sure what they want to do. And I let them know it's okay. It's fine. That just last year when you were a senior in high school, you still had to raise your hand to ask permission to go to the bathroom. Give yourself a break. No one expects you to know what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're still trying to figure out, those type of concerns. So career exploration, we have a couple of different models as far as, how to take certain interest surveys to try to narrow that down. Sometimes it's a matter of not figuring out what we want to do, but sometimes we can try to figure out what we don't want to do, what we don't want to major in or anything else like that. So career exploration is a part of it. The resume. putting together the resume that I developed when I was a student in college is completely different to the resume that students have to develop now. You know, I tell people that every resume is going to be different because every employer is looking for something that's a little bit different. So that, you know, when I was in school, one resume, that's it. That's all I had to worry about. I put my references in there. We don't, you know, we tell students don't include your references. Companies are going to be very specific about who they want to reach out to, so you don't have to put that in there. And even how to structure the resume can be a little bit different depending on the company or the entity that they have applied the job for. So we help them understand how to structure their experiences on that piece of paper that's called a resume, or in that document, since many of us now are sending, you know, attachments to our emails in regards to sending out an application. So interview preparation, I tell students all the time, I have no problem sitting you down and grilling you like a Philly cheesesteak to get you ready for the interview. So we do mock interviews. We also talk to students in regards to, you know, generally what do companies look for? You know, so it's not necessarily just practicing how to respond to certain questions, but kind of like a strategy in terms of, you know, how to research the company so that you have an idea of what it is that you want to talk to the company about, and what's important to the company. Job search strategies. I let people know all the time, if your job search strategy is to take a look at LinkedIn to see what jobs that are there, and that's the only thing you're doing, you're just barely scratching the surface. Job search strategies is a lot more. As a matter of fact, in the job search strategies, what's important in there is even how do you network, or have you started networking? Have you done some job shadowing? Have you spoken to somebody who's already in that career? That's part of your job search strategies. You know, I tell people the more that you are connected with people and the more that you have build your network, then you have this team of people that can help you prepare for that job search. So you're not by yourself. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site, but just about every profession also has some type of support or site in regards to on-campus listings, because some companies and some agencies may not list their jobs in LinkedIn or whatever because of the cost. It may be a small company and can't afford to pay $800 per listing for every job that they have in major newspapers or anything else like that. And I just said $800. Some are more, some are less. But companies have to pay for their listings to a third party, and in terms of doing that. So maybe that position, that job may not be posted, so which means that you're not aware of it, but yet they are searching, and they're talking to people, and they're using their network of people to spread the word about the fact that we have a position or several positions open with our company. They may go to job fairs and career fairs. Meanwhile, if you are just using one strategy in terms of your job search, you're actually narrowing your opportunities to be able to do that. So we want to help students understand that there are various ways to develop a job search strategy. Navigating Handshake. Handshake is our career management platform. And I'm going to talk about that more a little bit, but we have, we can help students navigate, how to use Handshake to their advantage. I talked about it before, professional networking and understanding that networking, networking in the profession as well as networking in the community, and how to build and maintain your network. Networking is not about asking people about jobs, it's about building relationships. And so that's important for us to get students to understand that, so they're not on their own. We have career fairs and events. We have employers that will come on campus and meet with students. And we let students know we communicate through them through emails as far as saying, hey, this particular company is going to be here. They're looking for, they're hosting a pizza and information session, or they're looking for this particular type of person. If you meet these qualifications, reach out to these particular companies. The Career Closet is maybe a term that people aren't familiar with. Career Closet is it is our way to try to help a few students. They may not have the right gear for whatever reason. They may not have a suit or a sport coat or a professional blouse or skirt or shoes. It's limited, but we try to have as much as we possibly can of some of these things so that students don't necessarily need to spend $200 on a professional outfit, because some students don't have that type of money to be able to do that for 1 or 2 times a year they might be interviewing or anything else like that. So we tell them to come to the Career Closet, see whether or not if we have it first before you go out and spend money. There's no cost to them to be able to rent, if you will, or borrow, if you will, clothing, but not only for just jobs. We have students that will come here and will borrow some outfits for several days because they may be going to a leadership conference or a study abroad type of experience or whatever it may be. We don't evaluate as far as kind of like the whys as much as we have it if you want to borrow it. So the Career Closet is helpful for a lot of our students in regards to using that. So those are our services that we provide. And the other career centers provide the same type of services as well. We may provide it maybe in a slightly different way. I really can't speak to how engineering or how businesses structure a lot of their services, but for the most part, we're pretty much the same, except for more or less, like, for example, if somebody was in the School of Business and came to me and asked me about their resume, it's like, well, this is what I can share with you about your resume, but School of Business may want you to do something different because they, let's say, for example, you had a class assignment. Well, that was your instructor in the School of Business, and the Career Center there might have a better idea of what that instructor is looking for. And so we tell them that we're going to give you our best information, but you still want to follow up with that person. So the career centers do work in a synergistic type of way, working together to help our students. So I talked about Handshake before. It's our career management platform that our students have. So a lot like LinkedIn, if you're familiar with LinkedIn, in the fact that not only does it have jobs as far as people can search for and apply directly into the application. So our students can actually search for part-time jobs, full-time jobs, internships, externships, experiential learning, if you will. To be able to build their experiences and their knowledge base. They're able to do that. But Handshake is not only a place to search for jobs, but our students can actually build a profile, just like on LinkedIn. So that way we are connected with over 330,000 or so employers. Nationwide. So we have national, regional, and state, local employers that are connected with us. And so we encourage students to build a profile and to be as complete as possible in terms of doing that. Talking about their activities, talking about their co-curricular activities, the clubs and organizations that they're a part of, because that talks about, here's my experience working in teams or being a part of a team. Here's my experience working, while I work in this, while I worked in the drugstore, my responsibility is that I opened the shop and I closed the shop. I'm a key holder. I'm responsible for the keys because I open up the shop, which means that the management there had trust in me to hold the keys, right? So there's certain things that we may take for granted as well, it's just a part-time job. But we try to talk to the students as far as let the potential employer know what your responsibilities are, because that can let them know what type of training, what type of employee, your work ethic. There's a lot of different ways that you can communicate your value to an employer based on your understanding about the type of things or the type of activities that you were involved in your clubs that you joined and that you were part of. Maybe you were an officer in an organization, a volunteer in a nonprofit organization. All of these things are important in terms of talking about your value or the student value to a particular employer. They can also schedule appointments with us. So, if you are wondering, how does my student get in touch with you if they have any questions about, how to put together a CV or curriculum vitae, which is slightly different from a resume, but we can help them develop that. Or, they have an interview coming up in a couple of weeks. How do they set up an appointment to talk to the Career Center to help practice and get ready for the interview? We do all of our interview scheduling through Handshake. And so your student will eventually get to know how to use Handshake, because it is our career management platform that we point students in regards to search for jobs. Go to Handshake. I don't have a separate list of jobs and opportunities for a particular type of major. For us, if we are aware of an opening someplace, we are putting it in the Handshake. So we want to make sure our particular philosophy is that we want every student to have every opportunity to know about everything and anything that they can do to help themselves be more career ready. And so they're scheduling appointments, building their profile, searching for when is the next career fair, which, by the way, August 31st is going to be the first one. It's our on-campus job fair. So if they are interested in getting a job on campus, you want to let them know to go into Handshake and see the details about the on-campus job fair that's going to happen on August 31st. But we also have other career-related events. For example, as I indicated before, we may have some companies that are coming in for a visit. And those companies that we are directly related to or have a relationship with, we're going to put that particular event into Handshake so you can find out what are we doing and who's coming and when are they coming and who is this program for. Job search, as I indicated before, that is definitely something they can do. They can also see and look and manage their job search. How many jobs have I applied to? Which ones am I saving? Because I want to follow up with that particular company and ask some questions. So everything about the job search process, from applications to management and everything, can happen in Handshake. We also communicate with students, and if they have a profile, they might be contacted directly by a particular company as far as saying, "Hi, Dino Martinez, I saw your profile on Handshake, and I would be interested in talking to you about opportunities with our company." And so that all that messaging and contact is happening in Handshake with students through the communications management portal in Handshake. And we also have a resource library. So they don't, so while they can meet with us and I can talk to them, or members of my team can talk to them about putting together a resume, we also have resume building resources in our resource library. We also have resources about interviewing and how to conduct an informational interview, how to set up your networking. We also have something else. In Handshake. Well, before I move on to that something else, Handshake, there's also apps that they can actually download onto their phone or tablet, so they can be, just a password away from getting into Handshake. So what's nice is they can take Handshake with them 24/7 as they walk around with their mobile devices. And so if you're interested, they, whether it's on Android or whether they're using, Apple products, you can download the app. I tell students to go ahead and scan the QR code because the QR code will take you into Handshake, and they just need to set things up and log in and set their profiles. We want them to start doing that right away, as soon as possible. Don't wait until your senior year to be able to do that. We also have every student is automatically enrolled in our Canvas course. Canvas is our learning management platform that the university uses campus-wide because every student who takes a class here has to use our learning management platform called Canvas. All the syllabus and everything else like that, it's happening in Canvas. And so your student's world is going to reside in Canvas. Their academic world resides there. And so we actually built a course, if you will, in Canvas. Since we knew students were going to be there, we wanted to be there, and we wanted to give some resources. And so we have modules. We have 10 different modules currently right now in our Canvas course. We have a module on the Introduction to the Career Center. We have a module on exploring graduate schools for those and professional schools for those who are interested in that. One on resume building your professional network, how to launch your career. There's a whole bunch of stuff in that Canvas course. Now, for the student who takes the Canvas course, we have different modules. These 10 modules that you see here on the screen make up that course. Reading the information will take your student 10 to 20 minutes per module to complete. If they do the activities to bolster or build their competency in that particular module, it'll take them a little bit more time. But to just read the information, I would say if they have a couple of hours, they can actually complete the whole course in that. Also, we instituted a digital badging program. So as a student completes a module and do the surveys and the quizzes that are in there, so they're spending a little bit more time, they actually get a digital badge for that particular module. And that badge they can actually put in their LinkedIn profile or their Handshake profile to show employers, if you will, that they have taken our Canvas course. And so they have proficiency in building a resume. Basically, kind of like showing employers their proficiency in their career readiness, as far as saying, I have done certain things to get ready to make sure that I have built a professional, myself professionally, by doing these things, sponsored by the Career Center. So they have the Canvas course, and every student except for those who are in engineering and business. Now, if a student who's in engineering and business wants to take the course, all they have to do is contact us and we'll enroll them in the course. But because of the fact that they have their own Career Center, we didn't put them automatically into the course. So that's the information. I will definitely go back for any questions that anybody has. So right now, I laid out who we are, what we do, and how to access the information. I want to be able to answer your specific questions.
Thank you very much, Dino. We're waiting for questions. So again, if you have any questions, this is a wonderful time to get them in. You can use the Q&A section, or you can send them through Facebook. And thank you to those who are joining us through Facebook and liking our presentation. While we wait for questions, I think what you said was very important, that sometimes students have had experiences in the past and they don't realize how just holding the keys to some office that they assisted with is important, because it shows that they, like you said, they had the resource and the trust of the company. So it's never too early to start seeking counseling or support from the Career Center. Again, our students are on a path, on a journey here at UAB. And I think sometimes as families, we focus on, the academics and getting that degree, but the end goal is to help students get a job where they are successful, where they are happy and invested. And so it is a journey that it's never too early to start looking into the Career Center. So again, if you have any questions, here is important QR codes that you can, take a picture of, or your student can take a picture of, and it has information. Again, the Career Center, will you remind people where the Career Center is?
As a matter of fact, I didn't mention it. So we're located in the Hill Student Center. Your student, for the most part, will get to know the Hill Student Center because that is a central hub, if you will, of the university. I mean, it's not located centrally on campus as much as it's a central hub in regards to the fact that it's where the bookstore is located. It's where, a lot of our services are located. Is in the Hill Student Center. So we're on the third floor in Suite 307. So we're not necessarily on the first floor, which would have been great, but so it does take a little navigating to get to our offices. But like I said, they're in the Hill Student Center, where your student is going to spend a little bit of time in the Hill Student Center as well. Carmen was right in the fact that I have had an opportunity to talk with parents, and I know that for some parents, you may be concerned in regards to your son or daughter, your child getting involved too early in some other type of things, and you just want them to, while they're here for their undergraduate experience, to focus in on their academics. Extremely important for them to do so. But I also want you to know that employers are looking for students who have experience working with different populations and different teams. And so, do you know how to work with others? Playing well in the sandbox, if you will. They want to know, as far as your experience in working with diverse populations. Working with somebody who's older than you, younger than you, different religion than you, different thoughts than you, whatever. So your student has a great opportunity to learn so many different things on our campus. Consider this kind of like as a learning laboratory. As a matter of fact, I think one of our nicknames is that that the UAB is a learning laboratory, right here in the city of Birmingham, to be able to do that. So what's also important is for them to get involved. We have data that shows that students who are involved in clubs and organizations, as well as going to class, learn how to manage their time better, as opposed to if all they have is just their academics. Sometimes they don't feel the pressure, what it means that I only have 3 hours today to be able to get this particular project done because of all the other type of commitments that I have as well. Now, with that, I don't want them to major in involvement. I don't want them to get involved in so many things that becomes their central focus. But I do think it's a great idea for them to start understanding how being involved in this club and organization helps them build competencies that will be marketable for their internships. So many students right now, before they get into their senior year, need to have an internship, or the company would like them to have some type of experiential learning before coming to their particular company. So study abroad is important as well. I'm surprised I haven't had anybody ask questions about what is work study and how does my child qualify for work study type position. I'm going to share with you right now. Work study is a federally funded program that is actually the award goes through financial aid, and I'm not a financial aid officer, so I can't answer those particular questions. But employers, and we're actually a student employer as well. Our office is. Many offices employ students. And so many of our positions that we have require you to be on work study, and it's a form of financial aid. And your child may have been awarded a work study grant. And basically what that means is that if they accept work study, they can start searching for on-campus employment that uses work study in terms of funding to pay for their salaries. And so we want to encourage It's too late now to apply. Generally, you would apply on the kind of like prior to the year before. For example, students would have applied this past spring for the federal funding for this fall. But for next year, if your son and daughter did not apply for those type of funds, they will complete the FAFSA form by December of this year is generally when it's recommended that you complete the FAFSA form. So for hopes to be able to be approved next spring to apply for jobs for next fall. So if your son and daughter has been awarded work study, they should be looking into Handshake for those jobs that require or support work study students and apply for those jobs.
I think that's a great point that you mentioned. And again, FAFSA opens in October, so you complete that. And as a matter of fact, our Office of Off-Campus Student Family Engagement has openings or will have openings if somebody is work study. So that's just an example of what's available. So if your student has that opportunity to do work study, that is also another advantage. We don't seem to have any questions, but I did want to ask you something, Dino. If you were to give families an idea of what should students be doing regarding career proficiency or career preparedness in the first year, in their freshman year, in their sophomore year, in their junior year, is there like a kind of like a timeline students and families should be thinking about what to do at a certain time?
Well, there really isn't a timeline as much as it's more of a being able to figure out, like if I had an opportunity to talk to your student today, I would have them talk to me about what they're interested in, like what type of jobs are they interested in doing right now? What's on the top of the mind? Are they thinking about going into medicine, or are they thinking about going into engineering, or are they thinking about going into human resources? And I would start asking them, have you spoken with anybody who's already in that career? And be able to just ask them, like, for example, if somebody would say, I'm interested in working on a college campus and helping college students make the transition from high school to college and then college to the professional life, I would encourage them to talk to somebody like me, who works in a career center. And be, so if that student were to say, Mr. Martinez, is it possible if I could buy you a cup of coffee? Can I spend 20 minutes just talking to you about what you do and why you do it? Having those type of conversations early, where I can talk to a student who's thinking about going into college personnel work as far as what I do, how I do it, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Start giving students some sort of sense in regards to that profession and, maybe even personality types or, what type of skill sets, I give presentations like this one. I'm giving it virtually, but I also give presentations live as well in classrooms. And so, if you're interested in doing it, what I talk to students about is like, if I don't work behind the desk all the time. Part of it is, I have an opportunity to work with students one-on-one, which is, for some people that's kind of cool. I don't like being in front of a group of people. Well, then I also tell them in that same conversation, it's like, well, I give presentations to as few as maybe 5 people in a room, and as many as 500 people in a room. So you have to be comfortable with public speaking. And so that's another skill set or competency that you gain. I speak and work with people from different backgrounds. So diversity is extremely important. I have a level of trust with people that I work with. And so, being able to talk about, that trust and that ownership, there's so many different competencies that employers are looking for. And for you to understand, and as far as this is the area that I want to work in, these are the competencies. I'll start telling students right now, you may not be ready to apply for that job today, but look at the job descriptions and learn what companies are seeking. Learn about the skill sets that companies are seeking for those type of jobs that you are planning on applying for 3 or 4 years from now. Understand what they're looking for, and then go out and try to find opportunities, some involvement, some clubs and organizations that will help you build those competencies. That's what you can do to start preparing yourself for your job search right now. And start building your network, talking to people who are in that profession, because not only at the end of that conversation, you may want to go back into LinkedIn, see whether if you can find that person online and LinkedIn, and see whether if you can connect with them. Mr. Martinez, I met with you, yesterday, and I would like to connect with you on LinkedIn and keep the conversation going. So those type of things are important to develop your career readiness. It's a lot different from when I was in school.
Yeah, but it is wonderful tips that you have given families, because I think sometimes, it's like, well, like I said, the journey has to start early, and it is part of the whole journey, whole academic and college readiness and preparedness. So
yeah, it's not enough to just go to class, get good grades, and then wait until your senior year and then apply for jobs. If that is the job search strategy for your student, or you're telling your student that is the strategy to use, it may work, but they may be behind the 8 ball for that person who, the other students who are competing with your student for that job that has done the externship or internship, or has done the study abroad, or has worked in an office, there's or been involved in clubs and organizations. And so we want every student to do as much as they can, definitely within their limits, to be able to be career ready.
That is wonderful, wonderful information. One question that has popped up is, what if the student is currently undeclared? And a lot of students come into college undeclared, or they may come in with an idea of a major, and then along the way, or first year or second year, they decide, what, I discovered something else. What would be your advice with regards to career paths in that sense?
I would encourage them, because part of it is, right now, many of them, as far as being involved in clubs and organizations and everything else like that, is to understand most of the competencies you're building are transferable. Like working in a team environment, that's transferable to, I would say, most of the careers that are out there. Companies want to be able to hire people who are problem solvers, who are people, who are good with people. Now, there's some specific skills, like, for example, working with computers and software, or maybe doing research, working specifically in the laboratory environment. There may be some specific skills, but for the most part, right now, especially in the first couple of years, your student should be out there gaining experiences that will make them marketable in a lot of different areas, because it's true. We have a lot of people who will change their mind. I changed my major twice. I started as a chemistry major and then went into broadcasting, and actually graduated with a communication arts degree to work on a college campus. So there are a lot of us who have degrees in one particular area. Was that my thought was that I was going to be in this area, but I ended up working in this particular environment. And so part of it comes into, is like, how can you talk about your transferable skills? How can you talk about your transfer competencies? And so we try to get them to understand how to have those type of conversations on your resume, because that's a way that you're communicating to a potential employer about what you bring to the table, is on your resume. But then also, how do you have that type of conversation in an interview as well?
Very helpful. That is great information. So I'm not seeing any questions right now. And again, if you would like to reach out separately and ask Mr. Martinez your questions, his email is dino.m@uab.edu, or you can also send us your questions at families@uab.edu, and we will be glad to route those questions to the Career Center. So I think we're about down to our time. So I just want to thank you for joining us today, Mr. Martinez, and presenting. And thank you for those who are joining us on Facebook and here on Zoom. And again, this will be stored on Facebook, and so you can go back and see it at your convenience with your student, have them take pictures of the QR codes. And also it will be uploaded to our website within the next week. So uab.edu/families. And while I got you all here, I just want to do the commercial about Family Weekend. It's coming October 6th through the 8th. So if you haven't registered yet, you can do so by going to the Family Hub. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the registration key, and then you can just go right in there. So thank you again, Mr. Martinez, for being here with us today. And we wish everybody a great rest of your day.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.